Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Dying Light 2 running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. Now the game is currently running at 1080p with the lowest in-game graphics settings, and it's set with FSR to the performance preset. So that means we're pretty much running at 50% of the resolution of 1080p. And of course the game looks kind of rough like this, and at 1080p we're also not getting amazing performance. It's certainly somewhat passable with a 30 FPS average, but the 1% lows dip down and fluctuate a lot that really it just makes the overall experience trying to play like this extremely rough. It's unfortunate that even with FSR set to its most performance setting, we're not getting good results here, especially because FSR at this setting really does cause some issues. You can see a lot of ghosting at the edge of the characters around here, and it really is just a painful overall experience trying to play with FSR set to such an aggressive setting. And we have to deal with that while also not getting exactly great performance. Now I do have the DirectX 12 API as well as asynchronous compute enabled as well. The game defaulted to having that off, and also DirectX 11, but after playing around for a bit I ended up finding DX12 to just in general provide better performance, specifically in the 1% lows. 1080p was really not doable at all with DirectX 11, and DirectX 12 really at least gave us 1% lows that make it at least a somewhat passable experience, but really I would not recommend playing like this. Unfortunately, raising the TDP to 25 watts with the balanced preset in the AMD APU tuning utility was not enough to really salvage the experience, though the 1% lows being pretty much at 30 for most of the time did make it a much more palatable experience. It still in general just does not feel as smooth as you would like, and there were still moments of stutter here and there, though they were very infrequent. Now playing with a controller, this felt perfectly fine, but if I was using a mouse and keyboard, I think I would really struggle to find this to be an enjoyable experience overall. Really in general, the moments that I found to give me the most amount of trouble were the moments where I was entering into combat. That was usually when the 1% lows would start to struggle, and then things would kind of just level out. But it was a consistent enough problem, at least with all of these settings, that it in general just did not feel like a very great experience to try to play. Really, to make this even passable in terms of playability, I had to drop the resolution down to 900p, have FSR set to the performance preset, and of course have the graphics setting all set to low. And really overall the experience that we're getting here is just barely passable because of the fact that while the averages of 45 are solid, our 1% lows are still in the mid 30s, though it is an improvement from where we were at before, and you could get away with playing like this, though the resolution hit that we're taking here is pretty massive since we are now at half of 900p. Of course we could drop the visuals down even more by just going down to 720p, and we could take a look at that. And what you could see here by 720p is that we are getting some really nice frame rates, really nice 1% lows. But what really becomes the biggest issue is just the fact that you would need a DS screen to really make these visuals actually passable. It really is extremely rough to look at on the 15-inch screen of this machine. And I think you'd have to be a really dedicated fan of this franchise to find this to be a passable experience, but that's really just up to you to decide. The presence of FSR is at least welcome because it does at least make this somewhat palatable compared to what we would be looking at without it, but the ghosting at the edges of a lot of characters really drags down the overall experience. It certainly makes the gameplay at least playable, but it's definitely something rough to look at, and if you are going to be playing this, I would suggest maybe using the smallest screen you possibly can. I would not recommend trying to play this hooked up to a monitor. But anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.